Well, damn. After this season struggled to even get the ball rolling, now we come to the first big battle of the season. And an episode that actually might be up there as one of the best of the entire show. Right up there with the best of seasons 1 and 2. I kid you not, this episode's fantastic. And we're going to talk all about why. Full deep dive, full everything. So, what's up? What's happening? What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Amy's Station, Universe for anything and everything animation, including a Belmont trying to defend his family name, as well as TV and movies. I'm your host, Jackson Small. Welcome back to Castlevania-Thon, Act 2. Welcome to Season 4, Episode 6 of Castlevania. And by far the best episode of Castlevania Season 4 we've looked at so far. You don't deserve my blood. This episode's awesome. Let's not waste any time and just get straight into it. Because this entire episode is all about the Battle of Styria. All about Isaac laying siege to Carmilla's castle. There's a lot to talk about, so let's not waste any more time. It's a cold night in Styria when suddenly a portal opens with hundreds of night creatures inside. The demons descend upon the castle and engage the vampire soldiers below. Carmilla's own night creatures, created by Hector, forces attempt to fight back alongside the soldiers and human mercenaries. Isaac watches from above until he decides to come down himself and attack the human archers. The Forge Master fights his way inside the castle with the help of his powerful familiars. Carmilla takes notice of the invasion, angering her. One of the night creatures reaches her chambers rather quickly, but then is brutally beheaded. Despite her efforts, Carmilla is then faced with even more creatures. Irritated, she demands a step up and fight. As war rages throughout the castle, Lenore rushes to find Hector to take him to safety. She locates him and learns Isaac is the one invading. Lenore attempts to relocate Hector, but he refuses and traps her inside a magic cage to prevent her from interfering, and also to protect Lenore herself from danger. She doesn't understand what's happening, and Hector relays a message to Saint Germain using a transmission mirror, further confusing her and the audience, because I honestly forgot he even knew Saint Germain. Lenore asks what Hector is up to, and he admits he's been conspiring with others to revive Dracula. He laid the cage trap to deal with Lenore, and she calls him crazy for going through with all of this. Hector argues he's always been crazy and claims he's just going sane now. Again, the back and forth between these two is just great. It's almost as good as Trevor and Sypha. Isaac arrives shortly after, and Hector demands he leave her out of their personal conflict. He reveals the plot to revive Dracula and says he's done everything to atone for their betrayal. Ready for Isaac to take his revenge, Hector offers his life to him without a fight, asking in exchange to spare Lenore, because he still loves her deep down. However, in a shocking twist, Isaac reveals he's not here to take revenge or to kill Hector. Like, at all. He doesn't have any plan to kill Hector at all, so that one line where he said to save the Forge Master for him was actually part of his own secret plan. Isaac's awesome. Like, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Isaac is awesome. He believes it's time for both of them to grow beyond revenge and find their own way. Isaac asks Hector to tell his night creatures off, but he's unable to do so. Instead, Hector gives him a rune that will give him access to an escape channel created when Hector replaced those mysterious devices in the cracks of the castle, way back in Episode 2. This channel will take Isaac straight to the top of the castle, and Lenore stays safe with Hector in return. Even with the channel, it will take time to fight Hector's night creatures. To deal with this, Hector severs his ring finger, and Isaac cauterizes the wound. No longer under the ring's spell, and having cut off now any control that Lenore had over him, Hector cuts off the rest of the control that Carmilla has over the night creatures he's created. Isaac thanks his former fellow and leaves after, further frustrating Lenore, who feels helpless to stop him, because it could possibly endanger Hector in return. Distraught, Lenore comments that Isaac will murder Carmilla, and Hector confirms it, but comments that Isaac won't harm Lenore herself, and expresses surprise that Isaac decided to spare him as well. And this surprised me too, because the entire thing was building up like Isaac was about to kill Hector, but he doesn't. He's actually grown somewhat as a character. It's again, really interesting. Isaac is one of the best characters in this show because he continues to get some great character development. Isaac goes outside and calls the strongest demons to his side before activating the channel that takes him directly to Carmilla. As blood from the long fight fills her entire chamber, Carmilla continues to desperately fight the demons attempting to consume her life, and getting so angry that her eyes become literally bloodshot. Isaac confronts her directly and she asks if this is about Dracula. She directs Isaac to Hector, but he reveals the humans are sticking together. Isaac recognizes Carmilla's ambitions have grown out of control and she has to be dealt with. Isaac and Carmilla come to blows directly, beginning with a one-on-one on the bloody floor until more and more of the Forge Master's creatures come to his aid. They continue to fight until Carmilla ultimately exhausts herself fighting the continuous monsters and getting a lot of scratches and slashes for her troubles. Refusing to allow Isaac or his puppets to have any of her blood, Carmilla decides to take her own life, staking herself with her own sword and exploding into ash, nearly destroying the entire top of the castle. Yes, I do wish that someone actually got to slay Carmilla, but it was still a pretty badass fight, so I'll give it a little bit of leeway. Not to mention, she does go out in a pretty badass way, almost destroying the entire castle. So, yeah, I mean, you were a pretty shit villain, Carmilla, but you did go out in a pretty badass way. As Striga and Morana return to Styria, they feel Carmilla's death and decide that her schemes are over. They assume Lenore had lost her life as well, not knowing that she was spared thanks to Hector. Rather than risk their lives going in to retake the castle, the two lovers decide to go off on their own. They decide they don't need anything other than each other and ride west with their own army. And that is the last that we see of them in this entire show. Because instead of killing off the gay couple in this series, they actually let them live. Progress. I'm glad that two characters that weren't really all that villainous and were more just following orders do get to have a nice happy ending with each other. It's nice. I mean, yeah, it's sad that they lost their sister, but it's nice. And it is a fitting send-off for the two characters, because since their ringleader is dead, they're kind of just aimless now, not to mention, again, thinking Lenore died with her. So, really good send-off for these two. Following Isaac's victory, he meets with Hector to talk about Dracula's resurrection. Hector wants penance, but Isaac believes Dracula has earned his rest. Isaac doesn't blame Hector for what happened after taking so much time to think about it, going through the endless desert. He admits to having talked to people, and Hector points out how much he's changed. Isaac believes Hector has changed as well and implores him to allow Dracula to sleep forever. Isaac asks what Hector wants now, and the latter decides he simply wants to be left alone with Lenore. Isaac plans to start building a new way to live and looking to the future. Dracula lived one long night rather than looking to the future. Damn good line. He shouldn't be disturbed, and instead, Isaac will build something new. Isaac concludes his statement by smiling and proclaiming that he's going to live. And that is the last of Isaac that we see in the entire series. He gets a pretty great send-off, getting to be the one that causes the death of the worst villain in this entire show, and getting to actually, have closure, have character development. And again, genuinely shocking, he didn't try to murder Hector, despite everything that's happened between the two of them since the fall of Dracula's castle. So, yeah, pretty amazing episode, and I'm glad that one of the worst villains in the series actually got to go out in a really cool way. So, that is the entire episode. The entire episode is just the battle in Styria, which can be argued as one of the best fights in the entire show. So, nothing more to say, let's just get straight into my final thoughts and overall verdict. After so many episodes of tedious, clunky monotony, Season 4 finally delivers an episode that deserves to be among the best of the entire series. The Battle of Styria is incredible, the reveal that Isaac was never going to kill Hector is genuinely surprising, Hector deciding to leave his old life and finally achieve a quiet life with Lenore is a really sweet way to conclude his arc. The final conversation between Hector and Isaac is one of the best written moments in the entire series. Carmilla finally meets her demise in an all-time greatest fight in the anime. Striga and Morana get a really nice send-off and actually get to live for once instead of, following the bury the gays cliche. The pacing is much better than the previous few episodes. The story is focused as it only takes place and only concerns itself with one battle and one event, rather than trying to develop a bunch of different shit all at once. And there's zero clunky, garbage-ass exposition. Man, that is nice to say. This is easily the best episode of the final season so far, and one of the greatest in the entire show. And I hope that the rest of the cast can also get their own satisfying send-off as the series continues to wrap up through these final 4 episodes. Final verdict, for You Don't Deserve My Blood. Very high, very well deserved, one of the highest in the entire series. 11 out of 10. It's a great send-off, it's a badass villain death, and it's a good conclusion to the worst arc from Season 3. Aside from the whole Infinite Corridor bullshit, but I mean like the whole actual thing I cared about. So yeah, Isaac gets one great final moment as he lays siege to Styria. Carmilla dies an incredibly badass death. The battle between her and Hector is one of the best in the entire show, and arguably in all of anime. And I will die on that hill because it is badass. Lenore gets an interesting conclusion to her arc. Hector gets to finally make his own destiny for once, rather than having to choose to follow other people. And, again, I'm so glad that Striga and Morana actually get a really nice send-off. That's rare to see with gay characters in animated shows like this. So, that's really nice to see. Nothing else to say. This episode's badass. If you haven't seen it yet, you need to check it out. One of the best in the entire Castlevania show. Well, that's it. That's all I've got, and we only have 4 episodes left in this season before we move on to Nocturne. So thank you guys so much for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more videos like this almost every single day. Feel free to hit the hype button to help us get higher up in the algorithm. And stay tuned, because we still have a few more episodes yet to go with the original Castlevania series. Not to mention a final overall review of the Castlevania series as a whole. So I'll see you guys next time for Season 4, Episode 7, The Great Work.